On October 21st, a Russian Su-27 fighter jet approached within just 10 feet of a U.S. aircraft over the Black Sea. But the story isn't about that provocative action. It's about the Americans' cold, terrifying response. They didn't fire a single shot. Instead, a firewall and invisible technology were activated to turn the Russian pilot's arrogance into a technical malfunction right in midair. So, how could a reconnaissance aircraft defeat one of the world's most agile fighter jets with just discipline and data? The Black Sea is not just a body of water. It is a strategic traffic hub where international shipping lanes, the lifeblood of trillions of dollars in global trade, intersect with Russia's brutal geopolitical ambitions. On that day, a U.S. Navy P-8A Poseidon patrol aircraft was conducting a routine mission at 10,000 feet. Its advanced sensors continuously recorded detailed images of all activity on the sea and in the air within international airspace. The crew was not there to provoke, but to protect. Their mission was simple: monitor international territory and ensure freedom of navigation for all. But today, Russia decided to challenge the security system there, not with a diplomatic message, but with a sudden and violent challenge from the sky. The normality of the patrol was shattered in an instant. Poseidon's advanced sensor system, a marvel of modern technology, detected a target approaching at an astonishing speed. It was a Sukhoi Su-27 flanker, the deadly symbol of Russian air power, which had taken off urgently from a coastal airbase in neighboring Crimea. The Russian aircraft was accelerating aggressively its flight path, a straight line non-negotiable, heading straight for the American aircraft, its speed exceeding 500 nautical miles per hour. There was no warning, no attempt to communicate on the standard emergency frequency, a clear and deliberate violation of international aviation rules by the Russian aircraft. The Su-27 cut across the P-8A's flight path at a distance of only 10 feet, a reckless and astonishing maneuver. But the danger escalated further. The Russian pilot executed an aggressive barrel roll directly in front of the American aircraft. This maneuver was not only unprofessional, it constituted a direct physical threat. The Russian fighter's fuselage came within 25 feet of the P-8A's fuselage, creating a powerful vortex that could easily destabilize the larger, less agile reconnaissance aircraft, potentially causing it to enter an uncontrolled spin. Data continuously pouring onto the P-8A's tactical display confirmed the crew's immediate assessment this was no accident. The Su-27's speed exceeding 500 knots and its precisely calculated trajectory were designed to maximize psychological and visual impact. On the tactical display in the P-8A's command center, the red icon representing the Su-27 flashed menacingly. Its threat vector showed an approach speed of 600 knots. The distance was closing rapidly, 500 meters. The estimated time to the next intercept point was 30 seconds. Through the infrared sight, the American pilot observed the flanker, but his heart rate remained steady, a testament to the thousands of hours of training designed specifically for moments like this to cool down provocations from undisciplined opponents. A crucial question echoed through the aircraft's secure internal communication system. Is this the mistake of an inexperienced, hot-headed pilot, or is this a calculated probe from the Kremlin, a deliberate test of our resolve and rules of engagement? The answer would determine the next few minutes and perhaps the stability of the entire region. Russia's first move was revealed. By using basic electronic concealment tactics, they hoped to hide the Su-27's actual flight path, betting that the American crew would be surprised, even panicked, and change their predetermined route, thereby conceding control of the airspace. This was their first and most serious mistake. They believed they were dealing with a single, isolated aircraft. They were wrong. An E-3 Sentry AWACS aircraft belonging to the U.S. military was patrolling at a high altitude nearby and connected with the P-8A. The E-3 Sentry airborne warning and control system is equipped with radar capable of tracking low-flying targets at a distance of 250 miles and threats at higher altitudes even farther away. In an instant, data from both platforms was transmitted over a secure network integrating all sensors into a unified intelligence picture. This created a panoramic view of the battlefield. The Su-27's exact location and projected flight path were predicted when it was still 50 nautical miles away. Russia's element of surprise vanished before it even existed. With complete situational awareness, the American pilots remained calm and acted deliberately. They tasked the P-8A's high-resolution camera to record the entire incident, turning Russia's provocative action from a fleeting attack into permanent, irrefutable evidence for the international community. While Russia was playing a clumsy game of hide-and-seek with outdated radar concepts, the U.S. operated within an impenetrable information network. a data network where every move of the adversary was predicted, analyzed, and responded to before it was completed. However, the aerial threat was not designed to escalate. The initial Su-27 did not act alone. On the AWACS screened two other Russian fighter jets. This time the more advanced Su-30 models with a maximum speed of Mach 2.35 were detected taking off from the Sevastopol naval port. They carried various types of weapons. Their intention was clear: to use numbers and speed to create a trap surrounding the P-8A. However, this tactic exposed a fatal weakness of Russia. Their aircraft rely on outdated radar technology and cannot link up or share information with each other. This means that each Russian pilot must fight alone. They are three separate aircraft rather than a unified combat formation. The U.S. response was immediate. From the aircraft carrier USS Dwight D. Eisenhower strategically deployed 200 nautical miles away, two A-18E Super Hornets were launched. They streaked across the sky at Mach 1.2, their advanced AESA radars capable of simultaneously scanning the entire 360-degree environment around them. The technological gap was enormous. The Super Hornets were equipped with AM-120D missiles with a lethal range exceeding 100 nautical miles, far greater than the 50 nautical mile range of Russia's best air-to-air missiles. More importantly, U.S. pilots are connected via the same data network as the P-8A and AWACS. This means Super Hornet pilots can see the Su-27 through the P-8A's sensors without turning on their own radar, never revealing their position. It seems this is no longer a confrontation between individual pilots. Rather, it is a confrontation where superior technology and tactics have turned Russia's provocative efforts into a strategic dead end. At the same time, beneath the aerial confrontation, the P-8A sonar locked onto a target, a Russian Kilo-class attack submarine. Its fatal weakness lies in its diesel-electric propulsion system. To charge the massive batteries used for silent underwater movement, it must run its diesel engines. These engines by nature are extremely noisy, generating vibrations and acoustic signals that modern sonar can easily detect from afar. Worse still, to run its diesel engines, the submarine needs air forcing it to surface in shallow water and use its snorkel in action that not only reveals its position but also emits maximum noise, making it an unmissable target. Neutralizing this undersea threat was swift and precise. An MH-60R Seahawk helicopter deployed from a nearby Arleigh Burke-class destroyer arrived on the scene. It descended to low altitude and began deploying a network of radio-acoustic buoys, also known as sonobuoys devices used for anti-submarine warfare. It was about 5 inches in diameter and 3 feet long. These small floating sonar devices formed an inescapable acoustic net around the submarine's position. The Russian commander, who believed himself to be an anonymous observer, was now the one being observed, tracked, and targeted. The Seahawk crew locked onto his position, and if ordered, could deploy torpedoes to permanently neutralize the threat. Not a single shot was fired, but the message was undeniable. The United States controlled the underwater domain as thoroughly as it controlled the skies. The hidden threat was exposed and rendered meaningless. The peak of Russia's provocative actions was a purely electronic threat. The pilot of the lead Su-27 activated the fire control radar and temporarily locked on to the P-8A. This action is equivalent to pointing a loaded gun at someone, a signal that a missile launch may be imminent. Simultaneously, the flanker began emitting basic jamming signals, a crude attempt to blind the American aircraft's sensors with electronic noise. This was their last card, a desperate attempt to psychologically force the opponent to retreat. It backfired spectacularly. As soon as the Russian radar signal hit the P-8A, its new generation ALQ-249 jamming system reacted. It not only blocked the incoming jamming signal, but also took control, amplified it, and counterattacked the source in a brutal electronic countermeasure. The system created a precisely designed wall of noise to overwhelm the Russian systems. The P-8A's electronic warfare system's counterattack was immediate and highly effective. On his radar screen, the single P-8A target vanished instantly, replaced by a flood of hundreds of false targets. His entire situational awareness, his window onto the battlefield, became useless.
Strong electronic interference.
The pilot's voice crackled over the thick static on the radio.
Lost target lock. Screen full of fake targets. Request instructions.
His entire situational awareness, his window to the battlefield, had become useless. At the same time, his communication system was jammed, completely cutting him off from his teammates, leaving him completely blind and alone in the sky. Unable to distinguish between real and fake, the Russian pilot had no choice but to abort the attack and retreat. Just as the Su-27 pilot was confused and trying to turn back for another attack, the final card was turned over. A new target suddenly appeared on the Russian pilot's radar screen in a perfect attack position only 50 nautical miles away. But this was no fighter jet. Its radar signature was unlike anything he had ever been trained to deal with. It was the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. It had flown silently from its base in England and had been hovering over the Black Sea the entire time, completely invisible. Its appearance was not to attack, but to send a message, a cold and terrifying declaration that the U.S. had controlled the entire airspace from the outset and could destroy any target they wanted at any time. From a safe distance of 80 nautical miles, a pilot flying an A-18E Super Hornet received orders. He launched an AIM-120D missile. However, this missile had no warhead. It was a message, not a weapon of destruction. The missile streaked across the sky, its engine burning a brilliant trail of fire. It flew past the nose of the lead Su-27 at a distance of only 200 feet, close enough for the Russian pilot to see clearly. Its sonic boom would reverberate in his cockpit, and the powerful whine of the flight was deliberately broadcast over the emergency radio frequency. There was no verbal warning, no threat over the radio, only the silent, imposing presence of the stealth aircraft, combined with a display of overwhelming power that was precise and non-lethal. The message from the United States delivered via the rocket's trail of fire could not have been clearer. Withdraw immediately or the next one will be real. For the Russian pilot, the situation had changed completely. Not only was he facing an F-A-18 with superior range, but he also realized the presence of a B-2 stealth bomber he had been unaware of. Continuing the attack was no longer a provocation. It was suicide, and risked igniting a larger conflict for which he was unprepared. He abruptly turned his Su-27 away, abandoning any intention of attacking. Over the radio, he reported back to base in an urgent but controlled tone, saying that his radar and fire control systems had malfunctioned after the previous electronic jamming. It was a perfect excuse, a face-saving cover for the truth that he had been completely overwhelmed in every way, technologically, tactically, and willfully. However, the American mission was not yet over. The F-A-18 Super Hornets did not immediately return to the aircraft carrier. Instead, they established an air control perimeter around the P-8A, calmly and methodically flying a few more patrol laps. The eyes of the pilots and officers on the AWACS remained glued to the radar screens, tracking the signals of the retreating Russian aircraft until they were just small dots, then completely disappeared from the scan range. After the incident, the success of the American strategy was undeniable. It was a perfect combination of information, superiority, and the unwavering professionalism of the crews. In contrast, Russia relied on brute force and aggression, a strategy that collapsed when faced with a superior and networked adversary. The Russian aircraft withdrew, and the Russian government later issued a statement claiming the confrontation was a routine training exercise, a predictable attempt to save face. But the U.S. Department of Defense quickly released high-resolution video and radar data from the P-8A, turning Russia's private military failure into a public lesson for the whole world to witness. Each link in Russia's multi-domain attack chain was systematically identified and broken, with the final fiery warning shot becoming an undeniable exclamation point. For Russia, it was a costly and humiliating lesson about the absolute limits of blind aggression in the face of technological and doctrinal superiority. The image of that warning shot, a streak of fire cutting across the bow of the ship, will be a lasting reminder of that lesson. But for the U.S. Navy, for the men and women guarding the global commons, ultimately it was just another ordinary Tuesday. It was a quiet professional testament to a simple and enduring truth: the seas and the rules governing them will always belong to those who master technology discipline and the will to use both with surgical precision. If you found this video interesting, like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you don't miss out on other top military stories. Comment below. Which weapon do you want analyzed next? The F-35 hypersonic missiles or another battle? See you in the next video.